So you can tell from the title of this video that we lost our cat, Andy. I wanted to make a video just about this because not only was he a part of my life for 17 years, but since I started my channel 8 years ago, all of my pets, but especially my cats, because they've lived the longest, have made appearances. And I know that a lot of people who watch my videos like seeing the pets and feel a connection with them. And it just felt wrong not to address it, and that's why I haven't uploaded in like a month, because I kept trying to film this video, but like finding the words to express how I felt and collecting my thoughts was very difficult. So we're gonna keep this intro part pretty short and sweet, and then we both wrote things for Andy that we're going to be putting in our pet scrapbook, and I'll be putting pictures of him in and doing like a voiceover of like us reading them. We don't have any really old pictures of him, only from like 2014 onward, because all of the other pictures from like when he was younger were on flip phones and like old computers that died and we don't have access to anymore. He was 18 years old. We got him when he was somewhere between like 8 and 10 months old, and we've had him ever since. And we got Oliver a few months later, and
we've had Ollie 17 years this month, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
And Oliver actually is 17, so he is a year younger than Andy, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how Oliver is doing. He's doing okay. Like he seems kind of lost, like he doesn't really know what to do, because I think Andy was the leader. But he's not depressed or anything. He's had some like behavioral issues and some stomach upset, but he's been doing okay.
And I feel like he's been getting better every day.
Yeah, we might get him a friend at some point, because he might be 17, but like he's still a kitten. He stole Colleen's glasses off her nightstand the next day after Andy passed.
Tell YouTube you're not an old man. Go on. Tell YouTube you're not an old man. Give them your baby face. Tell them I'm not really 17. I mean, I am, but not inside. Nope. Oh. Nice ASMR.
So Andy passed away on June 13th, somewhere in the early hours of the morning, and it had been a few days coming, because he basically died from being old. Like, he stopped eating. He just decided one day to stop eating, and he was like a fatty when it came to food. Like, he would wake me up at like 4 every morning thinking it was time for breakfast, even though he got fed closer to 6. You know, he like never skipped a meal. He was kind of food aggressive, so...
Oh, definitely. He used to scratch Dad's butt.
Yeah, even in like his old age. So I knew when the day he stopped eating his food that like that was the end. And unfortunately we couldn't have him put to sleep, because they, generally speaking, won't put to sleep animals even if they have something like cancer, unless they're like really bad off. And so it was a really horrible situation, and I think that that was kind of what made this even harder to talk about and process, and it brought back a lot of old memories of like seeing our parents sick and stuff, but we're okay. There's just been a lot of other stuff going on too, like we had to go to a wedding a few days after Andy passed and all of that. So
I just wanted to say that for me it's kind of unprecedented, because we had our dog Skippy for about as long as she knew Mom, but this is the first time I had a pet longer than I knew Mom. So this was,
yeah,
because my mom died when I was 15 and a half, and we had Andy 17 years and some change. So you know, this is a first for me.
And the story of how we got Andy, I don't think I've ever told it, but when I was a sophomore in high school in like January of 2007, my cat Peter Pan died abruptly. He wasn't old, he just got like sick one night, and my dad was like, oh, he's fine, and he ended up dying the next day, and Dad felt really bad, and I was heartbroken. And because of the time of year it was, there weren't like kittens at shelters and stuff, and I don't know why, like whose idea it was to have to get a kitten, but I think my dad thought a kitten would make me feel better, even though I just wanted my cat back. And he used to look at the want ads, and he saw an advertisement for a ragdoll cat. Dad decided to take me to look at this ragdoll cat, which we had never heard of the breed or anything, and he was being rehomed because the woman's son was allergic to him, but he had been bred, I guess, to be a show cat, and he had gone to like senior homes and like sat with elderly people. So he was described as having a really good temperament. So we drive like, oh, it's like a long ride.
Yeah, it was.
Over an hour, maybe close to 2. And we get to this woman's little apartment. She lives with her son and her granddaughter. And we're sitting in the living room, and she brings in the cat. And like, I was thinking kitten. He was huge. He was like, when he stood up, he was like past my knees. And he was super fluffy.
And she prefers like the sleeker, shinier
Yeah,
look.
short-haired cats. And my dad saw my face, and he's like, oh crap, this isn't a kitten.
She doesn't want him.
So the cat's on the couch with me now. And at the time, his name was Tinkerbell, because that's what the granddaughter had named him.
Tinkerbell.
And
he was
like,
huge. He was no Tinkerbell.
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like pet him, because you know you have to. He's a cat. So I reached out to pet him, and as soon as like my hand started to go towards him, he started playing with my hand, and my dad knew in that moment that like we were gonna have to take him home.
Because he loved her so much right away.
And I've always said Andy picked me, and I was his person. And I don't mean that in a cocky way. I know sometimes
No,
people
he was obsessed.
interpret it like when you say your pet really loves you, but like of all the pets we've had, like I've felt special connections to a lot of them, but like Andy was my shadow. And he thought he was like, I don't know, my boyfriend or my husband or something. He was very possessive. He yelled at me when he wanted to go to bed, because he went to bed with me at night, and you know, we had our quarrels. He used to watch me when I showered, which was creepy, which I know a lot of cats do, but
yeah, he was really upset.
he was excessively creepy.
I think he was a peeping Tom in another life. I really do.
Dad said that when I'd go, Andy would sit by the window and would cry. So, you know, we were very, very close. And at the times it was suffocating how much he loved me. But he was just so lovable. And we liked him so much that Dad ended up finding Oliver through a different person. And so we got Oliver when he was like 8, 9 weeks old. And Oliver kind of picked us too in a way, because
we actually wanted to get a girl. We were gonna do like Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Yes, that's why I picked Andy's name.
We were gonna, yeah, because he's a rag doll, Raggedy. So we were gonna get a girl and name her Ann, but Oliver came right to the door and we got there to look at the kittens.
He's not really, like, we didn't get any papers with him. We saw Andy's papers, but we didn't actually.
Andy was actually a Blue Point mitted rag doll.
We didn't like pay a lot of money for him because we didn't get the paperwork with him. We saw the paperwork. But Oliver didn't really have paperwork, and he had like mites and fleas when we got him. They were super nice people, but I don't think he's definitely more of a fat Siamese than anything else.
Yeah, if you Google Seal Point Ragdoll, that is not what he is.
But yeah, he came to the door, and then he was playing with a man's pen when we were inside, and Dad knew I wanted him, and they told us that they kept trying to talk everybody who came to look at the kittens out of getting Oliver, because he would go into everybody's bed at night and like purr and cuddle, and Colleen didn't want Oliver.
I didn't want another animal. I was like, Dad, we have too many animals.
And then Oliver knew that, so he went into Colleen's bed that night, which made me really jealous.
It's like she doesn't even want the cat.
And then
it's like he knew.
Dad didn't really like Oliver as much as Andy, so Oliver climbed in his underpants when he was in the bathroom one day. And Dad said to me, he won me over when he climbed into my underpants. Oliver is a real ham. And Andy never liked any other like animal besides Oliver, because he just like forced Andy to like him. But we
Yeah, that's how he was.
Another cat at some point after Oliver, who was just like a friend's kitten that he found in the backyard, and we couldn't keep her because Andy would beat her up. So that was when I was in high school. Andy only ever bonded with Oliver, whereas Oliver loves anybody. And like when we had that third cat, Oliver never hissed or anything. He just started playing with her. Like
He's really friendly and really social, and I know he's old, but he still has so much life left, so we might get him a friend, because he's just so, like, he misses, like, this morning, he was, like, around, like, 3 a.m. or 5 a.m., he was, like, licking my arms, because he must miss cleaning Andy, and I'm like, dude, that feels weird.
He hasn't been on our, like, beds to sleep, which I don't know if he feels weird doing it without Andy or something.
He's weird.
But, like, some of my stuffed animals still smell like Andy, which is sad.
I know, I miss
He
him.
camped out on my bed all the time. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to summarize like what he's meant to us and the hole that's left in our life, and maybe to some people it's dramatic, but if you love your pets, then you totally get it. So,
I mean, we had him almost 2 decades.
I had him half my life. I'm 32 now, going on 33. So I had him half my life, and like you get so used to them being there and being like such a staple in your life that you don't really envision the day when they're gone. And I knew Andy was getting old and we probably weren't going to have him much longer, but it still didn't prepare me for like when it happened.
And I mean, you could look at like, we were looking at photos because we wanted to frame a picture of him hanging in the living room, and we were looking at pictures and you can actually see him getting, over the last 5 years, like since before the pandemic, you can actually see him getting older.
Yeah, whereas Oliver,
he looks about the same.
he's like laying right on the floor over here, and he looks like a beached seal. But that's the story of Andy, how he became part of our lives. We're gonna run some pictures and do some voiceover, and there will be like happier doll related videos. I just have to finish editing some things, and I'll try to get them up like so you have something else to watch this week, because I know I've really slacked. But my mind I just felt weird uploading something happy when this happened.
He was just such a big part of our life. We couldn't let this go like unnoticed, you know.
Yeah, it's like losing my arm. So
It really is.
I can't like just not address it. It felt wrong. And if I haven't gotten back to your emails at all, or I haven't gotten back to them in a timely manner, that's why. Like the only thing I've really done online, besides occasionally buy something.
Occasionally, we've been bad.
No, not really. But it's like we've worked on our Flickr guide here and there. So if you look at my Flickr, there's up-to-date photos, but like it's just YouTube's so different. Like you have to be on camera and appear and talk, and it's just very difficult when you're like in a weird headspace. Until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.
So I wrote 2 short poems in memory of Andy. I already miss you. I already miss looking into your blue eyes, the whiskers around your nose, your soft mitted paws on my cheek, the sound of your voice, holding you in my arms, your beating heart, keeping time with mine. Your final trip around the sun. 17 times we circled the sun, together you and I. The sun keeps going around and around, but you aren't here. I feel like the world should stop. It hurts so much to think that when the final school bell rings, you won't be here. When the tiger lilies appear to smile at the sun, you won't be here. When the days are hot and long, you won't be here. When the school buses start going by, you won't be here. When the leaves start to drop, you won't be here. When the snow falls from the sky, you won't be here. When the buds come up again, you won't be here. It doesn't feel real, it just feels wrong for the world to leave you behind.
This is Shelley, and this is my letter to Andy. How do I say goodbye? How do I close such an enormous chapter in my life? I never imagined a day it wouldn't be you and I. The thought of it tears me up inside. Your absence is present in every minute, every second. I'm still waiting to wake up from this nightmare and see you sitting there. You healed my broken heart 1,000 times. Somehow you knew before me you were meant to be mine. I didn't choose you, but you chose me. It wasn't just luck. It was destiny. I'd do anything to hold you in my arms, to hear your soft purrs and your beating heart, to be woken at 4 a.m. to the demands of the breakfast you were yearning. I can no longer stare into those eyes the purest shade of blue. I don't quite feel like me without you. I can't stroke that silky, fluffy coat of gray fur. Our nightly cuddles are no more. You were the best friend up until the very end. Even in those moments we disagree, when you'd mess on the carpet or scream because you were hungry. There aren't the right words in any language in this world that could ever summarize what you meant to this girl. One day these tears will have dried, but I want you to know, thanks for the ride.